Thank you once again for joining us for another episode of Let's Talk. I am Dr. ReGina Smithwick here, and I am so excited about this next episode. I have this beautiful woman here that's going to be talking about a lot of little things that equal up to being this amazing woman. And before we get started, I would just like to do a prayer. Lord Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. Thank you for allowing me to be that vessel to be able to help spread the word of love and unity, learn to be inspired, to be empowered, and to be motivated. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. 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 So let me go ahead and just dive in and introduce our guest. She is the first African-American judge to ever serve on Pitt County's bench in its over 264-year history and has begun her third term as District Court Judge for North Carolina District 3. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Judge Hazelton, Wendy Hazelton here today.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Nice. I'm glad you decided to come. I'm so honored for you to be here today. Thank you so much.
That.
Oh, no problem. No problem. So let's go ahead and dive in.
Okay.
So let's talk about your purpose and your why. Like, what is your purpose in everything you do, especially in the courthouse?
So my purpose for what I do is that started out in the criminal justice system as an assistant public defender. Mm-hmm. And I spent a lot of my time begging for things from the assistant DA for my clients. And there was a limitation on what I could do. Mm-hmm. And so my purpose for running for district court judge is to have the ability to do more for people, to assist them in ways that I could not do as an assistant public defender. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to have that space and area to do that for folks today.
Yeah, and think about it. And it's over 264-year history.
Yeah.
How was that? How was that running? Like, did you have any kind of hesitation, or you just feel that you was going to be that first one?
I was praying that I was going to be that first one. And as I went through that journey, I did receive from Holy Spirit the fact that that was going to happen for me. Mm-hmm. There's a big story behind that, and we probably don't have time to get to it today.
Just give me a little bit.
Well, you know, when I was running, there came a point where I was speaking with a gentleman that I saw to be my mentor. Mm-hmm. And at some point later, he informed me that he was going to be entering the race. And he did. And I was completely devastated because he was someone that Pitt County was very familiar with. And he was a staple in the community. And I felt like there was nowhere in the world I'm going to beat this man. Mm-hmm. And so I told him that I was going to drop out. And I did. I took my name out of the hat. And when I did that, I had this reoccurring voice to tell me, Wendy, do not get out of the race. And it pestered me. Really, when I say it pestered me, it was day in and day out at night. And I just kept hearing that voice. Mm-hmm. And at first I thought it was just me because I didn't really want to get out of the race. Mm-hmm. But it ended up being something else. And so I finally went to him and I told him, I remember that day that we met outside the courthouse on the front steps. And we were actually just coming in at the same time. And I stopped him. I was like, I need to talk to you. And I told him, I said, I know I told you I was going to get out of the race, but something is just telling me I can't do it. And he was like, I understand. I don't expect you to. I didn't expect you to. And we hugged it out. We shook on it. He went his way and I went mine. Some weeks later, I saw him at an event at a church, and he was getting ready to leave, and I was getting ready to leave. And later that day, my husband and I were putting out signs, and we get a phone call. And that phone call informed us that he had passed away. And after we had a moment to sit in the car and let that settle, the voice came back. And it said, it's yours. And from then on, I just walked in the revelation that I was going to be Pitt County's next district court judge. Wow. And the voice went away. I never heard it again. And it was just, I know that was nothing but Holy Spirit telling me and talking to me. Wow. And I just think so many days that if I had gotten out of that race, if I would have allowed fear and that little voice telling me that you can't beat him, like there's no way you're going to win that race. If I would have listened to that, I would not be sitting here with you today as Pitt County's district court judge. I wouldn't do it. And so I I know that my purpose was set for me, and I know that I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Wow. I'm glad you told me that. That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
That just tell you that God's purpose and his divine order for your life.
It is.
And he told you to stay on that path. And he kept nudging. You know how he doesn't go away.
Exactly.
He keeps nudging you.
And
nudging
he was
you.
worrying me because I was
He
like,
couldn't
what
sleep or
is
nothing,
going
right?
on? Yeah.
So okay, so let's go back a little bit. What gave you the inspiration to go in law?
Wow. So when I was growing up, I have a older brother that was born maybe 2 months before I was died maybe 2 months before I was born, and my family never knew what happened to him. There was no investigation, and this was like in 1975. So, you know, things were a little bit different. And there were some individuals that said he committed suicide. Some people said he was murdered. And what I wanted to do is find out who killed my brother, if that was indeed what happened.
Right.
And so I just had this inkling about law. I mean, that's how it all started. And so from then on, I just had this thing about watching law shows and watching judge shows, and like Law and Order became like the best show ever, and like Murder, She Wrote. I mean, I love stuff like that. And so that's what initially inspired me to want to come into the justice system, because I wanted to bring the person that took my brother from me to justice.
Wow. And that's where it started.
That's where it started for me.
So did you ever find out anything? Did you ever get any information or anything?
No, you know, I went to the local library. I did research. The librarian helped me, and all that we could find was a little blurb in the newspaper that gave his name, his date of birth, his date of death, his mother and his father, and that this is where he was going to be laid to rest. And that was it. Like, there were no clippings of the actual act happening or anything. And so, no, unfortunately, I never found out what truly happened to him.
But he knows that
he
you have that connection.
Me.
Right.
Yeah.
He knows that connection, that his life wasn't in vain, that it actually birthed you and birthed your career.
It did.
Wow. So you went to North Carolina Central Law?
I did.
Look at you smiling. All right, Ego, I see you over there. But I know one thing is definitely known as one of the best law schools in this country. Definitely known for that. All different races go there. It's not just Black people to go there. You hear but they are proud because they know that this is a staple in the law.
It is.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Wow. So law school was very difficult for me. I took 8 years off and I worked. And then to have the mindset, to get back into the mindset of going to class every day and not being able to work, and it was a lot, having to study all day. So it took a lot out of me. And at that time, my dad was also dealing with pancreatic cancer. So it was a lot of different things going on in my life. But I can say that the individuals, the professors that I came into contact with there definitely help put what I needed to have in me to be able to do what I do now. It's a great law school. The professors were wonderful. It was always open door. And I made some really great friends too.
So how was the bar?
So the bar was 2 days. And actually, the first time I did not pass the bar. I had to take it a second time. And I will say that the first time I didn't study because I was like, I know this. I just finished all these classes. Like, I got this.
I got this.
I got this. And no, I did not.
It told you quick, right?
It told me very quick. And it actually set me in a really bad state of depression.
Oh, wow.
It really did for quite some time. I was living in Durham at the time, and I was living by myself. And I remember one of my close friends that I made in law school, she actually sent the fire department to my apartment because I was just not talking to anybody, and I wouldn't answer the phone. I wouldn't answer the door. And I guess I really scared her. And so it really took a lot out of me. But best believe, once I got myself together, I studied. And I didn't have that problem for the second time. Again. So, yeah, it was a very challenging test. You have a day of multiple choice, and then you have a day of essays. So it's not for the faint of heart.
I heard about people doing the bar and celebrating. And, now they put it online, of course, when they pass, they,
Yeah.
hit the button. And so how was it when you found out you passed?
I was waiting for that letter and waiting for that letter. And when that letter came, I had a friend with me, and I said, okay, I'm going to need you to read this. Because I can't. Actually, for a day, I did not open the letter.
You was able to go a whole day?
I was so afraid.
Oh, my God.
Even though I felt confident, I was still so afraid. And that next day, I was like, okay, you're going to have to read this letter for me because I couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And when he read those words, I was like, oh, my God, yes. It was amazing. It was the best thing ever.
You cried, didn't you?
Oh, my gosh. I was like doing cartwheels. It was wonderful.
You say with an ugly cry.
It was a wonderful, wonderful cry. Ugly cry.
All that work.
Yeah.
All that work. So do you feel that when you did take it the first time, what lesson was learned in that? Because obviously, from you doing it the first time and going to depression, what did you get out of that lesson?
Well, I got out of that to not to be too cocky, because I went into that first test being very cocky. I felt like I had it. I did not need to study too much because I know what I was doing. And it taught me, like, don't, you need to prepare no matter what it is. Even if you feel confident, you need to prepare.
That's the lesson you learned right there.
That's the lesson that I learned.
And you do that now while you're practicing now, right?
Yes. When I have a calendar, the day before or the 2 days before, I open every case, I read the file, so I'll know what I'm getting ready to go into.
A lot of people probably don't do that. They probably just go every day, and that's smart.
Yeah.
That's the lesson you learned, so that's good.
That's the lesson that I learned.
So being the first African American in your role here at Pitt County, tell me, like, how do you feel being the first?
It, in the beginning, came with a lot of pressure because there were expectations, not only from the community that looked like me, but from the younger generation. And, people were going to be watching. People wanted to know what I was going to do, how I was going to handle the situation, what I was going to say. And I knew I was being watched. So I tried to be very careful, very persistent about how I responded, so that I would make people proud. The people that voted for me and put their trust in me to be the first, I wanted to make sure that I was making them proud of who they decided to entrust for that. Because it is big.
Yeah.
It's big.
It is big.
And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be sitting where I am today and to be able to do what I do.
And another thing is, I'm going to mention, because we mentioned the word first, so I cannot go by this. She's in the first sorority that's in the D9, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and she's actually wearing her colors today. I'm in the D9, I'm a Zeta, so we share the D9 together. But tell me, how did that influence you? Like, how did that help you in your journey becoming a judge, being an AKA?
Well, being in Alpha Kappa Alpha, we are about service, as all of the D9 is.
That's right.
And so I went into this position with that same mindset. Serving the community, because the community is who put me where I am.
That's great.
And so I try in everything that I do, specifically when I have to deal with kids and I have to deal with families, to make sure that I am serving them in a way that I am having conversations with them and not just giving them a judgment,
right,
and saying,
not
go about
talking
your
to
business.
them, but actually having a conversation.
I want to have a conversation with you to figure out why we're where we are and what we can do to fix it.
Yeah, and it is a big thing, because when you're in an organization, any organization that you're in, they see that first. They'll go, oh, Judge Wendy, yeah, she's AK. Oh, yeah, I know her. Like, and the same for me. That they'll say, if you can't remember who they are, they'll say that affiliation of whatever organization you're a part of. And so it's like it's a lot of weight, because you're carrying that. And as soon as you do something wrong, they want to put, oh yeah, she's this or she's that, and it's like, well, I'm my own person, but I'm in this organization, but it is something you carry, and you got to uphold that.
Yeah.
Being a judge, you got to uphold that.
Exactly.
Because you can't you can't act fool.
I can't do anything and everything and go anywhere and everywhere. I can't do that.
So when you became a judge, it kind of told you how you had to live your life.
That's right.
So
it did.
It's like, if you have a situation you want to go, let's say something crazy place or whatever, and you're like, oh, I can't be seen there.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you walk in the door, you know someone's taking a shot. They're going to take that little camera on you. So how do you feel that your life kind of has to be altered around your position?
I'm actually okay with that because I have never been that type of person that like to go to certain things.
Right.
I'm very quiet. I'm what you would call a true introvert. And so it's okay for me because I didn't do those things before.
Right. So it's just your life.
Yeah, it's pretty much my life. I have become a lot more particular, I have to say, about where I go and who I associate with and who I'm seen with and who I take pictures with, because people associate you with where you are, what you do, who you with.
Good point.
And you have to be very careful.
I never thought of it that way. Even taking pictures with people, you never. Yeah, you're right, because the picture, they say, speaks 1,000 words. So even though you could just been walking through someone you don't even know, they're like, "Hey, Judge, can I get a picture with you?" Like, yeah. You take a picture, and then they put it on their page, and they say something you don't know what they're saying. Right. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. So let's talk about you on the bench. So how do you stay fair and balanced in certain cases that you handle?
You know, it's been not that challenging for me. If I feel like I cannot be fair, I will remove myself. And I have done that.
Oh,
if
okay.
I know someone and they come in front of me and I'm like, okay, I don't think this is going to be a case I need to hear. I will tell them that I'm going to remove myself and allow someone else to come in and hear it. I try my best to go in every day with the spirit of being fair and impartial, try to listen to both sides, and then I make a decision. And I hope that I've been doing a really good job of that. I feel like I have. I don't allow people from specific groups or a certain zip code or a certain name. I don't allow those things to affect how I decide cases.
Right.
Fair is fair. And everyone gets treated the same way.
You know, someone that I love truly, and you know her, Siobhan Sharp, Siobhan F. Sharp. She would get me if I don't say that F. She always told me, and even in the world of Zeta, as long as you stick to the book, there's nothing to argue about.
Yeah.
As long as you stick to the bylaws, the Constitution, there's no, what's the discussion?
Yep.
It's right here.
Yep.
So, I mean, I could take that over to what you do. As long as you stick to the book, there's no reason for someone to even think that you're doing something, you know, sideways or something corrupt. I'm doing what it says in the book.
Yeah.
And that kind of keeps everything clean, right?
Yeah. I have rules that I have to go by. I have statutes I have to follow. And even though it's not something that I may want to say or want to do, and I may feel in my heart that I wish I could do something differently, this is God and what I have to do.
You have no choice.
And this is what I have to do.
And so I know that your work doesn't stop in the courtroom. I know that you do teen court, correct? And youth program.
Yes.
Look at you smiling. See that? There you go. So tell me about that.
So teen court is something that I was introduced to when I lived in Durham, and I was interning with the assistant at the DA's office. And I came across teen court. And so when I came to Pitt County, I was like, okay, I have to find the teen court program. And so I did. And so I've been doing teen court ever since I've been here. And that was since 2007. And it is a wonderful program for young people that find themselves involved in the criminal justice system to get placed in that program so they won't have a criminal record. And so they come through the program. They have to admit their guilt. But the good thing about it is that they have a group of peers, their own peers, that come in, ask them questions, and decide what their judgment should be. So you have teens that are the DAs, you have teens that are the defense counsel, you have teens that are in the jury, you have a teen that's the bailiff, you have a teen that's the clerk, and all of them work together to make that program work. And so many times as part of the sentence, the person that's being sent to teen court has to also participate in the program. So they have to go through and they have to be that person when someone else is sitting in the hot seat to make a decision about what should this person receive as a sentence. So it's a great program.
I mean, I never even heard of it until you just said that. I didn't know that you had a program that could definitely help someone get a clean record. But in the interim of that, they learning life. They're learning responsibility, accountability. You know, they learn they have to, you know, tell you their faults and, you know, admit that. And a lot of times people are taught not to. They're like, you know, you don't say nothing. You just lie until you know, hopefully you get out of it. Like, no, tell the truth, and then you got to deal with the consequences of that.
Yeah, part of the program requirement is that they have to come in admitting their guilt, admitting that they did something wrong. And so when you have someone sitting there and you have your peers listening to you and asking you questions and then deciding what they think you should do to kind of put yourself in a position for that second chance. I mean, it's a great program.
So everyone in there came in under the door with that. They came in as, they come in at different parts.
So you have volunteers that come through and they say, hey, I want to volunteer and be in the program. I mean, it's some of them that have been there for years. Yeah, they've been there 3 and 4 years. And so if you have an opportunity to come, they do it on Tuesdays at the courthouse, and just come in and watch them. I mean, they're great kids.
I would love to see that in action, because I love to see positivity, especially for our youth, definitely. And I know that you are in behavioral health as well, and you had led you to create that behavioral health treatment court. So what is that about?
So behavioral health treatment court is a alternative program to a traditional probation, and it has been provided for individuals that come into our system and they have mental health illnesses and or substance abuse. And so we bring them into our court and we help them with medication management. We help them with getting connected with resources, getting connected with a mental health specialist. We help them I like to call it a holistic approach, because we don't just worry about medication and your mental health. We help them try to get their driver's license, your birth certificate. I mean, housing, anything that we can help them do, we help them, because we understand that mental health is affected by all of those outside things. And so we've been in existence now for a few years, and I mean, it's going great. I love that court.
Oh, wow. And you've been doing a lot of great things for our youth, so thank you for that, for them to have an outlet to, and not just go through it, but learn. And they may be influenced to be a lawyer or a judge, or be in the court system somehow on the positive side of it, So that's great. That's definitely great. So I know you're part of a lot of organizations in this area. I know you, like you said, you're Alpha Kappa Alpha. And I know that you're a part of the National Negro Council of Women, because that's why I met you at an event for that. So you being a part of, and you could tell the other ones that you're a part of as well. So how that influenced you in working in the courthouse when you are part of knowing what's going on in the community, because you were little sectors of all these little different communities?
Well, it helps me in the way that I think I'm able to connect with people more and better, and being the only African American, I think it also gives me a upper hand to understand the community more, and to be able to speak on it more, and also to be able to have specific kinds of communications and conversations with folks inside the courtroom, and I take full advantage of it. I really do. I remember when I first got elected, there was a young lady that I worked with at the public defender's office, and we had this prior chief judge, and he always told a story. And she was like, when you get up this, please don't tell stories. Please don't tell stories.
Let's get to the point.
And I was like, you don't have to worry about it, because I'm not. But now I find myself not necessarily telling stories, but having conversations with people, because I want to know, how do we get here, and how can we keep you from coming back here? And working in all of those different organizations gives me opportunities to be able to reach people. It gives me information from this organization. Okay, I think I may have something that I think this person would be able to help them. And so I'm able to reach into all those puddles to find stuff to help people.
And that's beautiful. I really, like I said, I just want you to, I want to give you your flowers. I want you to sit in a moment and think. I know you thought about this before, but I just wanted the audience to understand how this is so important. She is the first African-American female in the 264-year history of this county. That speaks volumes. Like, you're the first. Like, you're actually Black history. You ever thought of it that way?
My husband has said that to me, yeah.
You're Black history. For me saying that to you, I'm going to put the ball in your court. What is that? What's the feeling you have when I just said that to you?
Pride. Because I know I didn't get here alone. And I know I'm standing on the shoulders of so many people that have fought and died and struggled. And I'm just, every day, I hope that I make not only the people that elected me proud, but the people that look like me, that came before me, the shoulders that I'm standing on. I hope I'm making those folks proud.
It's not a hope. You are. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to come here today, because I know you from outside of here. When I met you a couple of times, and just you're so soft spoken, but yet you speak volumes. Like you don't have to scream to be effective. And for you to be where you at speaks volumes about who you are as a person. So I wanted you on here because I want other people. Let's Talk 1943 is about empowering, uplifting, and motivating. So anyone that's on that wavelength, I want them here because I want other, young children or teenagers of color to see that just because it didn't happen in 264 years doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
And seeing that how God worked with you with that, and you had to struggle with that for a minute, and he kept telling you, I'm telling you, my child, please just do what I tell you to do.
Exactly.
And you did it. And I hate to hear that the gentleman passed away, but that was part of the divine order of what was going to happen. And so I commend you for listening to God, because sometimes we don't.
And I almost didn't.
Yeah, we don't.
Almost didn't.
But you did, and now you know. And I think you have more trust definitely now.
I do.
I bet you do it now, right?
I absolutely
So
do.
he said, do so. Oh, okay,
Exactly.
I got to do this because he said that. So your legacy, tell me what you want your legacy to be.
So I want people to be able to take from what I have done and say, it doesn't matter where I grew up. It doesn't matter what my zip code was. It doesn't matter the neighborhood. It doesn't matter if my mom was or my dad was doing drugs or they were in jail. None of that matters. If you have something that has been placed into your spirit and you want to do it, and you feel confident that this is what you're supposed to be doing, do it. I'm the 13th of 15 kids. My mom and my father never dreamed that one of their kids would be where I am today. I come from humble beginnings. We grew up on food stamps, welfare, hand-me-down clothes, didn't have a whole lot. But I am here to tell you that if it is in your spirit and it is something that you want to do, it can be done. And just do it. Just go for it. Do not let people try to tear you down and tell you that you can't do it because it's out of your reach. Or do you understand where you grew up? Or do you know who your mom and daddy were? No, ma'am. No, sir. No, ma'am, and no, sir.
No. And it happens, and sometimes it's not malice. It's just that's their mindset.
The mindset.
They was taught that way.
Exactly.
Their parents told them that.
It's generational.
Their parents told them that. And they're like, don't do it. Stay safe. Don't move. At least you know what you got. Because anything outside of it, they can't help you. And sometimes they do that because it makes them feel less than, because if you do something like you did, there's no one there that could tell you about that. There's no one that can explain to you about law and going to law school and all that. And sometimes they put their pride or their lack of educational information to stop you because it makes them feel bad about themselves. And then you got to think past yourself.
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's about your child doing something amazing and new. Learn about it. Research about it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a lawyer with her, but you could at least know what's going on and just be engaged and just be supportive to say, I love you. You could do this. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know this lingo or whatever, but whatever it is good. You keep doing it.
Right.
You don't have to be a part of it, but sometimes some parents kind of block their children because of their insecurities.
And it's not always intentional, because I remember my mom telling me when I told her I wanted to run for district court judge, and she was like, baby, ain't you done enough yet? And I know it wasn't intentional. That's
exactly what, yeah.
But it's because of where she came from and what she knew and how she grew up. And so her mindset says, what are you talking about? What are you going to do with me, a judge? It's the same thing when I became an attorney. And so I don't think it's always intentional.
It's not. It's just bred. It's just the way they were raised.
Right.
It's actually a protection. it's just a funny protection because they go, well, if you do all that, you don't know what could come with that. So let me just keep you safe. Sometimes they think about it being a protection and they don't really realize it is not, but that's their way of protecting you by shielding you from something that they don't know about. 'Cause they don't know what's going to happen when you become a judge. And a lot of times they get it from TV, or they'll say, oh, I saw a judge on TV and they got, whatever happened to them. And it's kind of like, no, everybody's not like that. That was TV, but I get it. Our parents want to protect us, and by all means necessary. And sometimes they just do it in a way that is not something that you may believe in, but it is, like you said, it's not intentional. They love you.
They do.
And they want the best for you.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah. And my parents didn't have the wherewithal to tell me how to go about doing what I wanted to do. So I had to find someone that could help direct me. And so I say to people, if you don't have that in your inner circle, reach outside of your circle and find someone that can help you. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
That's right. That is definitely right. So I wanted to talk about something that we have in common. I am, and I know on my show, my people know that I'm an adopted child. I was adopted.
Yeah.
I was adopted at 3 days old, and I went through a lot with it. Didn't realize I went through a lot with it because I kind of suppressed it, and I didn't really talk about it, and I hid it. I didn't tell nobody I was adopted. Only people knew my intimate, like my family per se. They never talked about it. It just wasn't talked about. But I didn't realize that it really it messed with me as in validation issues, abandonment, low self-esteem that I didn't know I even had for that reason.
Right.
And after I did my work and digged and realized, went to counseling and realized where it stemmed from was my adoption, because I hid it. So if you hide something, that means you don't love yourself. If you love yourself, you should love your full self. You shouldn't have to hide nothing from nobody. Why was I hiding it? I guess I thought that I would be teased, or someone would say that my parents didn't want me.
Yeah.
It was, kids are cruel. Kids are cruel. And that was a different era. That's in the 70s. Now these days, I don't think kids even worry about that stuff no more. They talk about it more freely than they did back in the 70s. And it was like the parents, they kind of hide it too. They didn't want too many people to know either, so it's a different era.
Yeah.
But I know that you are an adopted mother. You adopted your children. So tell me about that experience of having your family, building your family.
So my husband has 2 children, and I always wanted to have kids. My dream was to have 4 kids, and I was going to have 2 boys and 2 girls, a boy first and then another boy, and then
It's
2
amazing
girls.
how we do that.
I know, like I had it all planned out. And so but it didn't happen for me because I was really career oriented. I was like gung-ho. I wanted this, I want this, I want this. And time was just moving right along. And so I kind of put it out of my head for a little while, but then it just started coming back, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I really want to have a kid. I really want to have a kid. And so our kids were pretty much, teenagers at this point, and I was like, well, Eric, I think I'm back at that mommy stage again. And he was like, what? Like, really? It's like, yeah, I think, and he wasn't really on board, but
he saw the light at the end of the tunnel. He saw the lights. He was like, we almost there, baby.
Almost
let's keep going.
And I'm gonna tell you too, working in the court system, I came across a lot of cases in abuse, neglect, and dependency court where children needed foster care. And I was sitting in court one day, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I wish I could take that kid home. Oh my gosh, I wish I could take that kid home. And it started bubbling up in me, and it got really, really intense. And I was like, Eric, I think I want to foster. What do you think? And he was a little skittish because, you hear so many things about fostering and the type of child that you're bringing into your home. And finally, I got him to agree, and so we went and did the classes. And okay, so what kind of kid would you accept? And we had to have that conversation. And so I remember one day sitting in my office, and we finished our classes, and I got a phone call from DSS, and they was like, well, I have a 14-year-old kid. I was like, ooh, I don't know. Okay, let me call my husband. He was like, no, we can't do 14. It's like, okay. I got another call that same day.
Wow.
Okay, Wendy, we have a 6-year-old, but he has some behavior issues. So, okay, hold on. I called my husband. He was like, "Ooh, Wendy, I don't know. I was like, okay, look." I was getting frustrated.
Yeah.
And so a few weeks later, I got another call. We have a newborn. I was like, I'll take her.
You don't even call. You didn't even call that time. You were like, I don't need to call for that one.
I'll take her. And I was like, oh my God. And he was like, well, she's a preemie. She's only 4 pounds. And, you know, she may have some drug withdrawals. And I was like, okay. And after I said I would take her, I was like, oh, I guess I need to call my husband.
That would be nice, right?
I was like, hey, babe, you know, I got another call and this is what happened. He was like, a newborn? I was like, yeah, and I'm going to pick her up tonight. It's like, you going to do what? It's like, yeah, I'll see you later. And I said, bye. And so, yeah, I picked her up that night. She was 4 pounds. She was the tiniest little thing. And the seat that I had for her just swallowed her up. But I was already in love.
Oh.
I was already in love. And so we had to, you know, have the DSS workers come in, and it was an interesting journey. Mm-hmm. It is not for the faint of heart because there's a lot that goes into being a foster parent, and you have to be trained, and you have to continue your training, and you have to be available and open for people to come in and out of your house all the time, and knowing all your business and wanting to do this and wanting to do that. And yeah, and we ended up being blessed with the opportunity to eventually adopt her, June 21st, 2021.
All right.
And so we did, and that's my baby. Oh my gosh, like, that's my girl. I love her.
Can't see nothing else without her, right?
Oh my goodness, like, Eric was like, we were almost there, Wendy. He was like, we can't do nothing. I said, yeah, we can. We just have to do it in a different way. We have to do it in a different way.
I know. He said, oh my goodness, now babysitting schools. Oh my gosh, daycare.
Yeah, but she's wonderful. She's 5. She'll be starting school in August, kindergarten. She is just a ball of energy, and she loves to sing, and she's just the sweetest girl.
No more daycare.
She's the sweetest girl, and I wouldn't give her up for anything. I wouldn't give this up for anything. Like,
it's amazing.
She just makes me so happy.
That speaks about your heart. You know, like you said, you can't be the faint of heart in anything adoption or foster care because you're taking on something that another DNA. You don't know what you're going to get in that, and you saw past that, and you actually saw the bigger picture of helping someone and not putting yourself first. So you and your husband did an amazing thing.
We did,
especially when you take on someone who had drug issues, because you don't know what's going to happen and what you got to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, thank goodness that she's young enough that she probably don't even remember some of the stuff that, you know, even happened with the withdrawals or whatever. But that's a blessing.
And thankfully, you know, we picked her up. She was 11 days old. And
she was really new.
Yes, 11 days old. And she never had any complications, any issues, any concerns. So it was a blessing. And I felt like even though I did not birth her, I've had the full experience. And I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy. People say, oh, she looks just like you. I was like, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You know what my dad always said? When people used to say that to me, I look like my dad. And he said, you feed someone long enough, they start looking like you. They start looking like you. And, you know, and I always say, too, sometimes water is thicker than blood. A lot of people, you know, just because you blood related doesn't mean you treat them like better. Sometimes you take advantage of the fact that they are blood. But the parents that raised me, that water was thick. I mean, I was 3 days old, same concept as you. I didn't know nothing else, and they didn't know nothing else. We all started together.
Exactly.
You know, so that alone was enough for me. I never had a feeling that I missed out on stuff. I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know, you know, where I came from, my mannerisms, my looks. It's just like a God-given right that, you know, most people do know that. They just automatically know it. So people who are adopted, you don't know that. You just want to know. And, you know, I think adopted children all got different things. Some people don't want to know. Some people want to just push it down and go, you know, I'm fine where I'm at. Some people do want to know. Some people wait a little later, like I did. I was 50 when I found my family. I was 50.
Wow.
Yeah. So I waited a while for that. Some people want as soon as they're 18, they want to go out there and find it. And, and I would tell you from what I've been told by a lot of people who are adopted, they scared they're going to hurt the feelings of their birth parents if they ask, can they go find, their adopted parents, if they ask to go find their birth parents, they feel like they doing something wrong. How do you feel about that?
So I feel just the opposite. I want Nevaeh to know that she is loved and that she has 2 sets of families. I always tell her that she knows she has other siblings, and I have pictures of them up in her room. When we first got her, we made it a point to make sure that she had contact with them, and I'm always open to that. I've shared pictures with her other family. I let her know that she has another person that carried her, and me and Dad raised her,
That's it.
And if she ever wants to take that journey and have that relationship, I don't have a problem with that at all, because, she has 2 sets and she deserves to know where she came from, why she looks the way she looks, and who her other family is. She has that right. And if she decides that she wants to do that, I completely support her. My husband completely supports her. I've saved all of her adoption information. I've saved all of that stuff for her. So, anytime she's ready, we're going to be there to support her for that.
And that's beautiful. And I'm glad that you're saying that, because, like, my parents were the same way. My parents told me when I was young. I was 6 when they told me. It wasn't like they wasn't trying to hide it from me. And when I decided I wanted to do it, my mother said, "What took you so long?" I said, "I don't know." I said, I knew that when I started doing my work on myself, that was one of the reasons why I was the way I were about certain things in my life.
Yeah.
And I knew I needed that to get over that and kind of like, release all that stuff that I was holding on to for all those years. And it sure has. Like, I have not stopped since then. Like, everything opened up, my doors opened up. I was able to hear him better. Everything happened when I was able to find where I came from. And my parents were so secure in who they are. It's not a subtraction, it's an addition. That's all it is. It doesn't take away from the ones that raised you, because, my gosh, they did an amazing job with me. Amazing job with me. And I would never want anything else. I would not. I love my birth family and everything, but the experience, even my birth siblings told me this. The experiences and opportunities that you had with your parents, you would not have them here. I miss not having you growing up, but I would never want to take away the opportunities that you received. And we get the best of both worlds.
Yep.
We get the best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
We get you where you at, and we get you with the accomplishments and your and all the things that your parents did for you.
Yep.
And I love them just as much. Like, they loved my parents. They loved my mom. They used to come visit her, So it was a great feeling to have both sides kind of engage with each other.
Oh, yeah.
That was amazing. So I'm glad that you had that door open for them. And you told told her that she's able to go and visit whenever, and you'll be there, and your husband will be there for her, because you know who you are.
Exactly.
You know that that is your daughter and you are her mother.
Exactly.
And that's all that matters.
And I'm good with that. I feel very confident in that.
Yeah, exactly. And it really is. So before we get ready to close out, I just wanted to thank you, first of all, for being here. Thank you for taking your time to come out here today. I hope this was a great experience for you.
It was. Thank you so much. It's been a long time since I've had a conversation like this.
Oh, yay. I'm glad Let's Talk 1943 was the place. I'm glad that was the place that you were able to have that conversation. But I just wanted to thank you so much for being here. And I just wanted to tell my Let's Talk family that this, too, is possible for you. Judge Hazelton told you she came from a humble beginning. She's one of 15. But that didn't stop her to be the first African-American Pitt County court judge. And that speaks volumes to where you could be in your life if you decide to push on and press on and don't let people tell you cannot do. That's not true. It's not true. And I know a lot of times we hear these stories and we go, oh, that's just them. No, it's not. It's actually all of us have that same spirit in us to do that. So don't let nothing stop you. And even sometimes your family or your friends or people, your cousins or whatever, if they don't know anything more than what they know, they can't really tell you too much. So you can't depend on people that don't know where you're going to get advice from. You need to get mentors like you said you had. get mentors and get people that are what you want to be. And so they could be able to guide you because they've been there already. So that's a good thing to start off with, is find someone that is doing what you want to do. And that will open your doors and your mind open to a lot of possibilities that you would not have if you talk to people who are where you at right now.
For me, I think if I think about where I've been, where I'm going, and what I've done, it will go back to what I said earlier, because I think it's kind of part of my foundation.
Right.
And it is, don't give up on yourself.
Mhm.
Like, that has been big for me because of all of the things that I've been through to get to where I am. Don't give up on yourself.
Yeah.
And don't think that it is impossible, because you are who you are.
Yep. And
That
that's
would
what
be
you
it
want.
for me.
And that's what you want, young people. And you're an advocate. You're a beautiful advocate for these programs that you have. And you're letting people know that all the time. Don't give up. Keep pushing. Even if you do wrong, we got a court for you. You can come in here, tell us you did wrong, and we can help you.
Yeah.
So that alone is enough for someone to believe that, you're there for them. You're not just being there for yourself. You're there for the community that you work in. So that's great. So you have anything coming up or anything, what's next for you? Are you going to stay in a court system for, duration of time, or?
I don't put any type of bars on what I can do and where I can go. I would absolutely love to go higher. And so whatever the good Lord places in my spirit and in my heart, I'm sure that he will direct me when it's time to move, if I need to move. I'm just keeping my ear glued to him and trying to make sure that I'm listening.
And he will tap you again.
He will tap me.
He will tap you again. He does that. It's amazing. So let's talk 1943. Once again, I'm your host, Dr. ReGina Smithwick, and I'm so grateful that you being here with us today. And how can you continue to watch us? Well, I'm glad you asked. Your Home TV, yourhometv.com is where you can find my episodes, as well as knowing everything about ReGina is at rsenterprises.life. rsenterprises.life, and you can find out everything about me. Anything you want to know about the show or anything that I do, I would love for you to connect with me and engage. So thank you so much. But until next time, God bless and thank you. I love you. Bye-bye.